Welcome to the office. Let's talk. So, there comes a point in your career when you start to realize that not every project is worth saying yes to. And I'll be honest, it's something I still struggle with. Even after years of running my own firm, I still catch myself wanting to help everyone out. It's natural, especially when you've worked so hard to get those clients in the first place. But saying no to the wrong projects is probably one of the most important lessons you can learn as an architect. So, when you're first starting out, I completely understand it. You probably can't afford to say no to certain projects. You can't afford to be picky. You'll take on small jobs, difficult clients, or low budget projects just to get your name out there. I've done it. When I first started out, I would just go measure buildings sometimes. Sometimes it was a quick little facade remodel, or hey, I just need permit set of drawings. Those are red flags for me now. Just need permit set of drawings. But that's okay. We've all been there. But here's the key. Don't make a habit of it. Every yes is time and energy you're not going to get back. And over time, those little compromises, they're going to add up. They shape the kind of work you do and the kind of name you have out there. And eventually that becomes the kind of architect you become. So don't let that become a habit. In those early days, do what you need to do to survive. But pay attention to what projects will drain you of energy and which ones will energize you and get you up in the morning. That awareness will help guide the decisions later on. So, saying no, it's not just about turning down bad projects. It's about protecting your focus, your creativity, and also your reputation. The truth is, not every client's a good fit. Sometimes their vision doesn't align with yours. Sometimes their budget doesn't match their expectations. And sometimes you just get that gut feeling that it's going to be more trouble than it's worth. When that happens, saying no respectfully can actually build more trust and credibility than forcing yourself into a bad fit. So, how do you say no without burning bridges? It's taken me a long time to figure this out, and I may not have it perfected, but this is my method. Be honest, but be respectful, and focus on the fit, not on the rejection. I used to start out by saying, I just don't have time for this. But that wasn't true. Maybe I did have the time, I just didn't want to work on it. Really what it needs to be is, I really appreciate you thinking of me for this project, but based on what you're looking for, I don't think I'm the best fit for this. But I can recommend a few other architects who might be. That's going to show them professionalism and care. But what it also does is it shuts the door. It sets a boundary. I'm not a good fit. They can't say, well, you should be. If I say, I don't have time for this, what happened? They would reach out in 3 months and still ask me to work on it. It would still become a project that I couldn't say no to. So just be professional and say, you know what? I don't think we're a good fit for this, but I'm giving you another name or recommendation. That way they don't feel like they're stuck. You're not dismissing them. You're just helping them find a better match. But here's the encouraging part. Eventually, you will get to a point in your career when you can choose, where the right clients start finding you because the work speaks for itself. You've built a reputation in the industry. People know who you are, people know the work you can do, and you get to kind of choose which ones you want. So when your schedule's full enough that you have enough projects, you feel good declining without guilt. But it doesn't happen overnight. It does happen, but it doesn't happen overnight. And when it does, you'll look back at those earlier projects and realize they taught you what to say yes to and what to walk away from. So here, I'm just going to give you a quick list of some of my red flags that I look for in clients or projects. The first red flag is, like I said earlier, if they come to me saying, we just need a set of permit drawings. What that tells me is that they don't respect the value that I'm providing. They are looking to get a requirement fulfilled. They need a permit by the city, and they just want somebody to help them put a permit set together. There are plenty of architects out there that can do that. I don't want it to be me. Another red flag is certain project types that just aren't a good fit for us. we very clearly early on identified that we want to work on commercial projects, and that's our focus, and that's where we're most efficient, and that's the type of work I enjoy doing the most. So if somebody comes to me with a residential project, I generally turn it down. There are a few exceptions when it's for another existing client that I have, that maybe it's an add-on to another part of the commercial project. I don't do schools or hospitals, things like that. That's just not my wheelhouse. That's not what I do best. So if those come to me, I find a good way to transition them to another architecture firm. And that's more about knowing who you are than saying no to clients. Another red flag is if they're just unrealistic on their expectations. They come in wanting to build a $3 million building with a $1 million budget. So I early on, when I start the conversation with them, I ask them these things. What is your budget? What is your timeline? Because that's the other thing. I might get clients sometimes that come in and say, I'll ask them, when do you need to be open by? And they'll say in 2 months. And I'll have to tell them that's just not possible. By the time we get the drawings completed in an efficient manner, but in a complete manner, submit them to the city, get responses from the city, it may be 3 or 4 months. And then I gauge their reaction. If their reaction is, oh, I just didn't know the timeline, okay, that's what it is, then I'm okay with that. If they push back and say, no, you need to get it done quicker, it's probably not going to be a good fit for us, because we won't sacrifice the quality of our drawings to get it done faster. And then the other thing is just the gut feeling. When I meet with them, if I feel like they're going to be a difficult client, they're going to demand too much, too early, too quickly, or they're going to constantly blow up my phone because they're insecure about the project, then we may not be the best fit for them, because we want to do it right and we want to take our time to do the project right. So based on those sort of starting red flags, I generally will guide our decisions on which ones we say yes to. And I found myself over the last decade slowly starting to say no to more. And here's the funny thing. You ask any business person, you would think saying no to projects would mean you make less money. But in fact, it actually makes more money. I don't know why that is. I'm sure there's some sort of research that says this, but as you start saying no, you find that the projects still come in, but they're the right projects, and you could make more money by doing the right projects than doing the wrong projects. It doesn't make sense, but that's just sort of how it is. The more you say no, sometimes the more projects you get. So saying no doesn't make you ungrateful. It makes you intentional. And that's what this whole career is about. So if you're still figuring out where to draw the line, don't worry, you're not alone. Even now, I still have to remind myself that every no is still making room for a yes. But it's something that eventually comes along with time. So get in the habit of finding these red flags and identifying which projects are a good fit for you. And eventually you'll get to the point where saying no is just a little bit easier. All right, that's it. Let's get back to work.